running is a mental game. You just have to think about something else when you're running. Go like this and just focus on that when you want to give up. I was a little bit drunk. Usually I'll have like oatmeal and then I'll have like 6 eggs.
Water Buffalo TM is back with another Buff Talk.
3, 2, 1. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Old School Matt here. We're back with another Buff Talk, and today we have a special guest, Salty Gabriela, on the podcast. But before we get into it, always, Chris, how you been, bro? Gabby, how you been?
Good. Thank you for having me.
No
Been
worries.
very good. Thank you for having me again.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Before we get started, we wanted to talk about the topic on the podcast today is going to be cutting and losing weight as we get ready for the new year. And we wanted to have a girl on the podcast, or a female, because we wanted to get a different perspective on cutting and how she goes about that process and how we do it. We've talked a little bit about it before, Chris. We just did a podcast a couple weeks ago on bulking. So let's just get right into it. And Gabby, when you're trying to like lose weight, and we were talking about earlier, different things that kind of hindered you from weight loss or staying in shape, what's your like go-to plan for cutting weight and cutting down?
Well, I try to not drink because drinking literally causes so much fat and like weight gain. But usually I'll just check out what I'm eating, and sometimes like, because I've been in a constant bulk for the past couple months, and sometimes I'll notice without like, if I'm not hitting on my macros, I'll literally gain, like I'll lose so much weight. But when I'm trying to cut weight, I'll usually cut out sugar and alcohol, and I'll just make sure I'm taking everything cleaner. Yeah, usually I'll just check what I'm eating. Like I'll go through my FitnessPal and I'll be like, okay, what am I eating? What am I not eating? And I recently, this past summer, when I was kind of trying to cut a little bit, I was taking the green supplement. I don't know if you guys have taken that before.
Like Reds and Greens?
Yeah, I was just taking the greens. And it's really good. It literally cleans your stomach out and everything. And I noticed that my skin was getting clearer. My fat off my stomach was getting a little bit trimmer. And I wasn't drinking. I wasn't drinking for 2 months. And I noticed I was losing a lot of weight. So I feel like that's the biggest thing for me. Like probably drinking. Yeah, drinking is like the biggest thing.
What about you, Chris?
I would say that a lot of Americans probably don't even know what their real base metabolic rate is, because they're drinking maybe 10, 20 drinks a week. That's a lot, actually, if you think about it. And that probably bogs down your metabolism quite a bit.
True.
Yeah,
I would say that like drinking for sure is probably something that I haven't like done heavily in like the past 2 or 3 years. But like when I was in college, and Gab, you're still going to school?
Yeah.
So like obviously like that lifestyle, and like a lot of people like to go out and like to drink a lot, and even like casual drinks like with friends and stuff like that, like not even just getting hammered, but just having like a couple beers here and there a couple times a week definitely adds like a lot of unnecessary calories for me. And like I typically me and Chris talked about this before, like we're both more on the heavier side genetically, like when we were younger and stuff like that. So like it's harder for me to constantly drink, and we all know people that can go out every weekend and like still stay shredded. But especially for people that have like the genetics of like being maybe a little chubbier, a little bit more overweight, I definitely think drinking or like that party lifestyle could be the one thing that holds you back from, getting into good shape. Because like 500 calories 3 times a week, like excess of what you need as a base metabolic rate, like Chris said, is like, it's pretty hard to burn off, especially if you're not doing cardio. And that's what I was going to ask you too, is like you do a lot, or you were doing a lot more CrossFit type of stuff. Do you do cardio too when you do CrossFit, or is that kind of incorporated in those workouts?
I do cardio a lot. Like I actually love cardio.
Really?
And yeah, like I like rowing and like skiing, but I also like running. And that's the biggest thing that people don't do cardio. Like they hate it, but I just feel like you don't have to like run 5 miles. Like you could literally walk for like 45 minutes or something, listen to a podcast or like watch a YouTube video, or like honestly just like walking for 45 minutes and like run a little bit for like 2 minutes or so, and then just have your heart rate up, and that literally blows out the time. But for the most part, if I do cardio, I'll row, and I'll do it in intervals. Like
HIIT training or whatever?
Yeah, like I was doing this one workout. It was 4 sets of 400 meters on the rower, and that was really intense. I haven't done that in like a month or so, and I almost threw up. I was like, wow, like...
Really?
Yeah.
You ever do rowing before, Chris?
What she's talking about, I actually assigned a decent amount of my clients to do 3 or 4 times 400, and her saying that like, oh man, I hope they haven't been suffering too much. But
yeah, I mean, it's pretty intense, because like the thing
it is intense though, you're right.
Yeah, because like you also want to beat your time each interval. So I think it was 400 or maybe it was 500, I don't know. but we were doing it and I was like out of breath. Like I was literally like I was puffing and I was like, okay, I can do this. And like, it's really intense. Like if you don't do it constantly, you're going to be like dead.
I think the good thing about cardio is that you can probably push a goal maybe almost every day or every 2 days. But with strength and let's say you're lifting weights, I mean, not necessarily.
That's a good point. I like cardio too, but I like lifting weights more than cardio. And cardio is kind of a hassle, but I've got back into running recently, which is not like the best thing for like preserving the most amount of muscle, but like for overall like weight loss and fat loss, like I found that like running is extremely calorie dense in terms of how many calories you burn. Like I ran 9 miles the other day. I burned like, they said I burned like 13 to 1400 calories, which is like a shit ton.
It's a lot.
Yeah. And like, for example, like your rowing stuff, when you're doing them, you said you're doing for like how long? 30 minutes, you said?
I think at most like maybe 15 minutes.
Okay. So you're doing like super intense, like for 15 minutes. Okay. And that's the only form of cardio you like to do, or is like, or for cutting purposes?
I like running.
Okay.
Running because like it's very like you're by yourself. Like I don't like running on the treadmill. I hate running on the treadmill. Like I would rather go to a park and run. And either for cutting, probably running or the skier because you're also working out your back and everything.
Yeah. So that machine's actually really fun.
What's the skier
machine? You haven't seen it? You like pull it down and whatnot.
Oh, it's like
it's like
a lot of CrossFit gyms. So like when you're doing CrossFit stuff, is that part of like the competition? Like is rowing like one of the things?
Yeah, it just depends on the competition. So like there's a competition coming up. I think it's in January. It's called Wadapalooza in Miami. It's a 3-day comp.
Okay.
So you could either do it individually or as a group, like as a team. And honestly, it just depends. Like there'll be rowing, maybe a skier or a toes to bar. Like there's literally everything you can think of.
True. And if you, because she was talking about earlier, like if you were going to compete for a CrossFit event, would you, like, do you have to cut weight and stuff like that or not really?
No, not really.
It's just like based off of like your performance? Like
yeah, and especially like the weight class you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's mostly on like how much weight you're pushing.
I got you. What are the weight classes for like girls or women?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Like I think depends, like maybe 100 pounds or like to 125, just depends.
And Chris, when you're focusing on, and you're in a state of cutting right now?
I am actually, yeah.
So like when you're focusing on your cardio and your cardio output, like how much you do in a week? Because like, sorry to like interject, but like a lot of people ask questions about the bulking podcast, and they wanted to know like, especially like one of the guys that was talking to me, he wanted to know like our routine specifically for like the cardio and like the weight training and whatnot. So like what's an example cardio output for you like in a week?
So recently I've actually been doing 5 days a week, walking an hour.
Okay.
Just to start off. And I've actually been finding good results from just being able to do that.
Okay.
But
like walking on an incline or?
No, just walking in my neighborhood. I like to travel when I walk and like look at nice things.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because I feel like when you're walking, you just kind of like think about everything. You're like, okay, like I have to do this, or did I eat like today and whatnot.
I feel like that. Yeah, I feel the same way with like running. So like when you run, are you jogging? Or are you doing like a as fast as you can type of run?
Honestly, like my friends always tell me like they want to go running with me, and they're like, oh, like I probably can't be with your pace or whatever. And I'm like, honestly, like I just run. Like I don't really know what jogging is, but like I'll just run to whatever pace. But like if I'll hit a time, I'll be like, okay, so next mile I want to go faster.
What's your like durated period? How many miles do you usually run?
Sometimes I'll just do a 5K, so like 3.1 miles.
Cool. Yeah, I've been trying to do like I'm gonna try to do a marathon sometime in the middle of next year, and I've always been like good at running.
Yeah.
And I just haven't really done it in like the past couple of years, just because honestly probably because I'm lazy. But recently like running and just expending that type of energy, I don't know about you, but like I feel super good after. Like I feel really good, and like my legs are consistently sore for the past 2 weeks. But other than that, like after I run, you almost like it's almost like instinctual for someone to run. Like it's part of our nature. Like going on a Stairmaster is not really natural to the human body.
Exactly.
But like running, if you look back a million years ago, like that's something that humans did like naturally. So I feel like there's something in that kind of triggers some sort of response in your body that gives you a feeling of like feeling good, because there's like that runner's high. I don't know if you ever got that before.
Yeah, the runner's high.
But it's a real thing. Like a lot of people talk about it, and like I don't think I've ever ran consistently as much as I've done now in the past to like ever feel the effects of that. But like I ran 9 miles the other day, And like after like mile 4 or 5, I felt my times went down. Like my times went from like averaging 8.5 minutes to 9 minutes for the first couple miles to like being 8 minutes 7:50 at like mile 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's like it's I don't know. It's a weird feeling to explain, but do you ever get something like that?
Yeah, I do. Well, when I was in high school, I was in cross country, and I was learning how to run and everything. And there was this one workout. So we leave John I, and we run to Freedom Park, I think it's called.
Okay.
And I don't remember exactly the distance, but when I started running, I was like, oh my God, this is so hard, whatnot. And then I started to think, I was like, it's all a mental game. Like running is a mental game.
100%.
And I was telling my brother, because my oldest brother was in cross country and he did track in high school. And he was like, you just have to think about something else when you're running, because it's just a mental game. So he taught me to like go like this and just focus on that when you want to give up, because you're just thinking about doing this.
And or like rubbing your fingers?
Yeah, you're just like thinking of that. Yeah. And he was like, you could either do that, or like if you want to stop and run, like if you don't want to run anymore and you're getting tired, just do lunges while the time you're not running.
Okay.
So he taught me that. But like running, I've gotten like the runner's high. Like I ran recently with this group. I don't know if you know Celis Produce in like West Palm, I think. Mm-mm. Well, there's this runners group that they have sometimes. It's like once every first Wednesday, I think. Mm. And we just ran like a 5K, and after that I was like, oh my God, I literally could run 2 more miles. Yeah. And it was cool because like I feel like running in a group, like it helps me like not want to give up. And I think I was at mile 2, and I was like, all right, we have to keep up the pace. Like I was getting faster, and I actually beat like 2 of my miles. Nice. And it's pretty cool. And that feeling you're talking about, it's really hard to explain it, because like once you're done running, it's like this weird feeling you get. Yeah. But it's like excitement and like a relief. I don't know.
100%. And like what you said earlier about like running and like feeling you could do more. Like I when I was running like a couple weeks ago, I did a 7-mile run, and like after I did that run, like coming towards the last mile, like I felt like I could do it again.
Exactly.
It feels really good. And like I understand why people really enjoy like endurance training and stuff like that now, because like I said, I've done it in the past before. I've never done like cross country or anything like that, but like for baseball or just like I don't know, random like 5Ks and stuff like that, you always feel good. And then like but it takes a lot to get there, and especially for people that are like trying to lose weight and like they have to do the weightlifting and they have to do the cardio, like it's a lot to like get to that point. But if you kind of just like put your foot down and just start, it gets like easier, even with like normal cardio, even like with the Stairmaster and stuff. Because this past year I did 30 minutes of Stairmaster almost every day after my workout, and like at first it's kind of annoying, but then if you like you said, listen to a podcast or watch YouTube videos or just like, you know, scroll on social media or just do your bullshit time during that cardio, it goes by like really fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A way I actually forced myself to run was I joined a rugby team when I was in UCF. So that was the kind of way I like ran and did more cardio, right? And what you're saying is have a distraction. I would say a lot of people can also have a distraction. They can join a team, which he's saying, join a group, but anything to kind of distract you, it's a good idea.
What about diet wise, Gabby? What do you like? What's your go-to? You do a lot of macro counting?
Yeah, I do. I actually I've been really bad at it lately. So I went on a trip recently with my family to DR, and I was like, okay, well, like the past couple months I've been tracking my macros and stuff, and I was like, okay, today I'm gonna be like this week I was gonna be intuitive, like eating, you know what I mean? And that took me on a toll. Like I literally ate everything I could think of, and then when I got back, like it's been really hard to track my macros. But now like I'll be like, okay, so I'll try to switch it up. Like usually I'll have like oatmeal, like if I go to the gym really early, and then I'll have like 6 eggs and maybe like some fruit.
You're eating 6 eggs every morning?
I try to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I also do like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I've never heard a girl say that she's eating 6. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's like actually crazy because like, so 3 years ago when I was like bulking, like I was actually bulking, like I could actually see my body like changing and everything. And my uncle was like very like worried about me because he knew I was eating 6 eggs and like how much I was eating and like I was eating like the protein and whatnot. So he literally got me a nutritionist in Colombia, and she like gave me like a review. She's like, so what are you eating and whatnot? And I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm eating vegetables as well. And she's like, okay, like you seem like you're doing really good, like you're working out enough, because the other thing is if you have too much protein, it can make your liver like hurt a little bit, because if you're not working out enough, your liver starts to working more. But yeah, he was like worried and whatnot, and I was like, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then he was like, okay, like I believe you now, cause like the nutritionist. And then after that, 3 years, like after that, he got into like fitness and stuff, so it was cool. And he was like, oh, like now I know what you're talking about. So like eating 6 eggs in the beginning, it's really hard as a girl, I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just eat that, and then maybe in the afternoon I'll have chicken and rice with vegetables, and then I'll have that again. And then for dinner, I'll probably have like a protein shake or pasta.
What's your like calories? Do you like you said you count to a T? So like, what do you?
Yeah. So if I'm like my bulking, I would say like maybe 3,000 something calories.
And then your cutting is?
A little bit less, like
Okay.
probably like 2,000 something.
I feel you. Chris, what about you? What's your go-to?
So I'd say actually kind of similar. I'd say like 3,200, 3,500 for bulk. I did 3,000 for my last bulk, and honestly, I kind of wish I just did like 3,500, let's say.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Yeah, honestly. But for cutting, like 2,500, 2,700 for me.
Yeah, I don't really count calories, so I don't really know like exactly how much I eat, but I know I eat a lot. But like for me, the biggest thing for cutting is like not necessarily changing my diet too much. Like I'll probably cut carbs like 1 or 2 of the meals that I have, because I probably eat, I don't know, 5 to 8 meals a day, depending on what day it is. But the cardio is definitely like the most important thing for me. And I don't think a lot of people know that. A lot of people put emphasis on the diet, which is obviously like really important. But like if you're having the same diet or you're eating too little and you're not doing enough cardio, your body's just going to adapt to that caloric level, and it's not going to burn the fat that you want it to burn. I think cardio is like I'd rather eat, let's just say 3,500 calories a day, which is for most people is bulking up, but do 45 minutes of cardio, and I can still see some weight loss in that area. You know what I mean? I'd rather eat more calories and burn more calories than just lower my calories and not do any form of cardio in itself.
I mean, I think making your body go through those metabolic processes more will result in a body that will be stronger, burn more calories, allow you to eat more, and still look in a really good way.
Yeah, almost like a machine. Like if you take a person that's just say eating at a 500 calorie deficit but never doing any cardio, versus someone who's doing a 500 calorie deficit and doing 30 minutes of cardio, like the person that's doing the cardio is not only going to reap the benefits of weight loss but also like heart health, and like I don't know, for me I just don't feel as clean if I don't do a form of cardio. I don't know about how you feel or how you feel about that, but
Yeah.
like I feel almost like even if I'm not eating that much, if I don't do cardio, I feel like I'm missing something in my routine. And I think that's like a really important thing that not a lot of people know about or do, you know?
Yeah, like I definitely feel that, like especially because I usually try to run like every day, like at least 2 miles, or even if it's just like a mile. And I always just think about, like you were saying, heart health. Like that's the biggest thing. Like a lot of people are like, oh, like I don't like cardio, like because it's so hard. But like there's different forms of cardio. Like everybody thinks like cardio's running. Like I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like everyone's like, oh, like if I have to do cardio, I have to go running. Like you can go cycling and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely feel that. Like if I don't do cardio, I feel like I'm not doing enough.
Well, Chris, you do a lot of like high intensity workouts sometimes too, right? So you're like mixing
A lot of my strength training sessions, they then, after I get done with my compound lifts, turn into HIIT, basically.
Yeah.
A lot of compound movements, let's say sandbag chucks, stuff like that, cleans. But I would say a good cardio to look into for a lot of people is maybe swimming.
Yeah.
You can't complain like, oh, my joints hurt after swimming. Like, come on.
No, swimming kicks your ass. I don't know. Have you ever swam before?
Oh, yeah, I love doing it. I'd say I'm a much better swimmer than a runner. Like, I could probably go for a long time. Like, more of a water boy.
What about you?
I actually don't really know how to swim.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah, I actually don't know how to swim. I was actually talking to someone recently. I was like, yeah, I want to learn how to swim, because I was trying to like do like the regular swimming. Like it sounds funny, but like I can swim underwater and like that perspective, but like other like that over, what is it called? Like
Freestyle?
Freestyle, I can't do it. Like
So you don't know how to formally swim?
Yeah, I don't know how to formally swim, and I want to learn, because the last time I tried swimming, I almost drowned it, and I was like, what the heck? But I think that's very intense. Like I tried to swim a little bit, and it's very I think swimming's underrated.
It is underrated, but I think it's also very hard. And like you said, it requires coaching, because I was blessed enough, you know, my mom's Filipino, my dad's Cuban. They had to swim a lot, you know. Yeah. So they were like, when I was like a toddler, they're like, all right, he has to learn how to swim, you know.
You know, I was taught how to swim at a young age too, but like you said, I know how to swim. I just don't know how to swim properly.
Yeah.
So you know how to do like the strokes, and you look one way, and then
honestly, when I'm lazy, I just do breaststroke for like an hour.
But that's
crazy. That feels insane after.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Though you do a stroke, and then like you're supposed to come up and get air, like.
Yeah, the thing is, the form for that's pretty tight, and it requires a lot of muscles to work together.
Are you doing that, or are you doing?
I do that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I try to basically a freestyle for me is like a sprint basically. So I'm there to the other side of the pool. Then after you get to the other side, you're like, oh, man,
Yeah.
and you can't breathe while you're doing the cardio.
Yeah.
You have to in, out, and then one of them you tuck your mouth out like a little fish, like, and
Yeah,
then
fuck.
go back
But
in.
you're swimming in a pool.
Yeah.
Have you done it in the ocean?
Yes, that is like 10 times harder.
Yeah. Because, like, the last time...
It's choppy.
It is very choppy. Like, we were on vacation, and we went in the beach, and I was a little bit drunk. I think that was another thing. But I was a little drunk, and I was trying to get out the water, and, like, there was huge currents. And I was trying to swim out, and then I think I got kind of stuck in a current.
Mm-hmm.
And then, thankfully, I got out, and, like, the lifeguard's literally just standing there, like, watching me. And I was like, dude, I almost drowned. And he's like, but you didn't. You're fine. You learned your lesson. And I was like, I guess
Wow.
so. Yeah, it was, like, really funny. But now I was like, yeah, I definitely want to learn how to swim a lot better.
Yeah, I went with a couple of my friends to the pool in Gainesville that they have like for UF, where people can go swimming and like practice their freestyling and shit like that. And I wasn't doing this thing like the form you were saying, and they were smoking me. And these were
Yeah.
kids that like I was like I can definitely like beat these kids, but they had good form. So like I was tired as hell after doing like I don't know 8 times back and forth, whatever half a mile was, and they were like fine, and they were like yeah, it's because every time you swim, you're like when you go to get breath or get a breath of water, you're not doing it properly, and that like requires a lot more energy than you think, like to get the form down.
Well, it's in swimming, you're trying to make all the movements that aren't essential kind of get rid of them in a sense,
Yeah.
or just kind of narrow them down to the most efficient way possible, because it's already hard enough to do the movement, do it with like less breath, you know what I mean? And then you go from there. But I would say for sure, like they're saying, if you poke out more, it kind of ruins the form, because then you start to twist your torso a little bit and whatnot. You're trying to like literally when you're swimming like this freestyle way, you're literally supposed to look down, and like that view shouldn't change. You're not even looking in front of you. You're just looking at the floor.
No, you're right.
That's
That's
crazy.
exactly what they were saying. I want to start doing it again. But where are you swimming now? Or when you do swim,
So-
your neighborhood?
My neighborhood's blessed to have a nice long pool.
Yeah, you've been to my pool's short.
When I used to go to university,
Yeah.
they had a pool like UF does, and I used to go there almost every morning.
There's also Lake Lido. I was looking into pools to like learn how to swim, and they have like a free pool thing, but I don't know how it works exactly.
True.
But some of my friends from CrossFit, they go to Lake Lido and they're always training there, and I'm like, wow, like, and their workouts, like I don't understand the swimming workouts, but it looked really intense.
You can do things with, let's say a kickboard, right? You do it with the kickboard, you can work out your quads to a crazy amount, because you're only using your leg muscles when you like have that board to propel you in the water, and it basically it's literally like cardio, but it feels like strength training while you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, like
little reps.
when I swim, I haven't swum probably in like, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 months. But the last time I did swim, like you get a crazy pump in your shoulders and arms. Like you get like a nice like upper body pump. I don't
You
know.
look jacked after you're done swimming, because you just use all your muscles.
Exactly.
Blood?
In the ocean?
Yeah, I want
Blood
to
in
touch
the
them.
water?
The sharks? No, that won't happen. They're either, that's not going to happen. Like the sharks around here will probably either bite you or they won't come around. Like most of the time, the sharks are pretty like spooky, to be honest. Like a lot of people think sharks are like really dangerous, which
Well,
they
that's
are.
what I'm
in some
saying though.
areas.
Like I want to like let it get comfortable, and then like I want to touch it.
Or
And
why
then-
don't you just go on a cage?
Yeah.
That's
I
a
know,
lot
but
easier.
you know how cool it looks if like the shark is there. You're just like touching its nose and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
but that's
on your
it-
but
eyes.
that, like, I don't think
it's
that
not going to
would-
be as easy
Yeah.
as
No,
those
it's not
flims.
easy at all.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But I
10
wanted to
years though, I'm not gonna forget. 10 years, you might see me doing it. So
really.
yeah,
That'd be cool to do a shark cage.
I would invite you.
I would definitely do I'm not gonna do what you're doing, but I would do a shark cage, like
Yeah.
a shark cage tour or whatever.
I've been wanting to do one of those, but I just don't know where to go.
Yeah, I don't think there's any around here. You got to go like
South
overseas.
Africa is
Yeah.
where all the great whites are.
Really? I thought they had one like in Miami or something.
Do they?
I wouldn't be
Maybe.
surprised though. I mean, I don't know what shark you want. Like great whites, it's a little bit warm for them over here
Yeah.
actually, so you're not gonna see it. But you can get like bull sharks, probably tiger
Okay.
sharks.
Yeah, but bull sharks are like fucking aggressive as shit.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I'm sure great whites are too, but
Yeah.
anyways, I was gonna ask you, Gabby, in terms of like weight training, what's your like weight training routine look like when you're cutting down? I know you do a little bit different. Like I know you're saying you're transitioning into like more bodybuilding type of
Yeah.
training, but like even now or even back then, what was it?
I don't know. Honestly, it just depends. I honestly don't go by a split. I go by like how I'm feeling. And probably like Wednesday, I'll do like Monday through Wednesday, I'll do upper body, and then Thursday to Saturday, I'll do like lower body.
What about you, Chris?
I do upper lower.
You've been doing that recently?
Yeah, I mean, and then I also have other days where I just do like accessories, like little muscles, like like my forearms, my biceps, my triceps, my calves. You know.
True.
But
Yeah, I'm pretty. Even when I'm changing up my routines, I always try to hit the each muscle group like once a week, and I try to isolate. But that just goes to show you that like you can do a lot of different things and still reach similar goals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You could do a lot of different types of workouts, and I think one of the points I wanted to get across in this podcast, talking to people out there that are new into fitness or trying to get like an introduction to like maybe cutting for the first time or losing weight, is like there's a lot of different avenues you can take to like cut down and like, you know, kind of get into the shape you want to get into, as long as you're not having the expectations super high. And that's another thing I was going to ask you too, like when you're doing a phase of like cutting or bulking down, like how long do you do it for? Or you just do it for until you feel like you're complete?
I would say like couple months, because for me, like, because I work a lot, and sometimes like I'll work 12 hours and then I'll realize I didn't eat. So I'm like, so it just depends. I think maybe 4 to 6 months. And also like the biggest thing is like everyone needs to realize not everyone has the same type of body and like metabolism, and your body works differently.
What do you think, Chris? What's your like phase for cutting and bulking?
so for me, it's a little bit different. I do take 2 to 3 months, but specifically what I try to do is I actually kind of guesstimate with my nutrition like you do, right? Like I don't actually measure, but I do know I'm generally getting like this amount. So what I'll do first, I mean, if you're talking about training splits, right? So for cutting, I tend to be a little bit more like high reps, you know, trying to I'm good. Let's say I'm really good at pull-ups, right? Sure, I can do a pull-up plate, whatever, whatnot, but let's say I want my normal pull-ups while I'm cutting. I'm right now trying to focus on getting the 20 pull-ups, 30 pull-ups, 40 pull-ups, and so on. So I really try to push just my endurance markers when I'm cutting. But when I'm bulking, it's all about just strength, progressing movements. Like let's say if I can go from a pull-up to a muscle-up, that's a big win, you know?
I feel you. Yeah, I usually try to do similar to what you say, Gabby, like a longer time, because like I'm not trying to get ready for a competition or like do anything like a photo shoot or anything like that. So like and we talked about this before too, like my cut and bulk aren't as drastic as like some people's might be. And like I think that if you're not trying to like get ready for like something like, let's just say a bodybuilding competition or like something in particular, you should probably take longer on your cycles of doing things, because like if you try to rush it, it's just gonna like, because it takes a little while to like get to a point to where you're starting to cut and you start to like see real results to where you can look yourself in the mirror and be like, I look different and I feel good. But if you try to rush it, you most of the time you just feel like shit, and you still see the results, but then like you jump right back into doing something else, and then you're like kind of almost like what's it called, like you're seesawing back and forth between two things. So I think like a more like steady approach and a longer approach is better, because there's nothing to rush, assuming you don't have anything to do, right?
And I also think it's kind of unhealthy, because like a lot of people when they start their fitness journey, they want to lose 20 pounds and they kind of expect to lose it in like a month. And first of all, like when you first lose weight, it's usually water weight, and like people don't understand that.
100%.
And I just feel like just taking it slowly and working with the progress is a lot safer.
Yeah,
I tell my clients, I mean, realistically, let's look a year into the future and then see, because I tell them it's all about habits. Like you're trying to build just the pattern of like, oh, I do this, you know, because if let's say they did lose 20 pounds in a month, right?
Yeah.
Give them one more month. I mean, they're going to come back, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And like what you said, like a lot of times people don't realize that the weight they lose right away from cutting is most of the time just water weight.
Yeah.
Like, and you won't really see a lot of fat loss or true fat loss until like a month and a half to 2 months after you do the process. And like if you try to rush it, that's the problem with a lot of people, is when you try to rush things, especially when it comes to cutting, because when you rush a bulk, like it's enjoyable, you're eating a lot of food, you're having like a good time, you're not doing as much cardio, you're almost lazy, so it's like it feels good. You know, it's our natural instinct to want to feel safe. But if you're cutting and you do it really fast, you most of the time you just feel like shit the entire time, and like you're not really performing well in the gym, you're not performing well in life. Like that's another thing, like when you're cutting down, you do it too fast, your mind is not where it needs to be. But if you do it like over, even adding an extra month to your cut or adding an extra couple weeks, get your body used to like the calories and get your body used to the amount of work you're going to be doing, and you feel a lot better. I don't know if you've noticed that before too, but
yeah, I've noticed that. And I don't know if you guys have seen like the fitness Mr. Olympia, Chris Sebum. I was watching his YouTube recently, and I've noticed like the last week of like when they're cutting for their shows, like they can barely pull the weight. Is it because they're not eating as much as they're used to, or
for bodybuilding prep, it's probably because they're super dehydrated.
Okay.
What like how many days out were they?
I think he had like a week left till the show.
A lot of times, like he was saying he was doing light weights.
Yeah, he was doing curls, but he could like barely push it up, and he was saying that because it was like the last week he was like really tired or something.
Yeah, a lot of times like they deplete. So like a typical bodybuilding protocol, everything's different depending on who you are, but like a lot of times people will deplete like 2 weeks out to like 10 days out. So like the last 4 or 5 days they're not eating any carbs and they're not eating a lot of protein either. They're like really cutting down their calories to like a really low level. And then they're also taking like diuretics and stuff like that to get the water away.
Yeah.
And a lot of times like guys will do, 7 days out, they'll do a diuretic and they'll be drinking little amounts of water. So like really low body fat, not a lot of food, not a lot of water. Like you feel like shit almost. But then they carb up. Like, I don't know if you saw that process too. Like after the weigh-ins, because classic physique, they have to weigh a certain weight, but after that they start carbing up. So like they feel better. But yeah, like that's it. That's an extreme example for like cutting and whatnot. Like unless you have a specific date you need to look a certain way for, there's no need to like get to that extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, like obviously you can do that, but they're bodybuilders and they get like that's what they do for a living. But like an average person just wants to get in shape, like following something like that is probably not gonna last you very long. And you should only really do those type of things like if you are getting ready for a show. But like if someone's just starting to lose weight, like there's no reason to go into like a full out, like some people do OMAD, which is like 1 meal a day. Like I think that's kind of like ridiculous. And a lot of people get into like intermittent fasting, which is fine, but a lot of people like go to the extreme to where they're like eating 600 calories a day and like it's tough to go anywhere from there. That's why I tell people is like if you're doing the extreme right away, like once you get to a certain part where your body's going to stop, like your body's eventually going to have a point to where it's like if you're doing, let's just say 1 meal a day, eventually after a couple weeks your body's going to get used to that and that's going to be your normal. So where you're going to go from there, like eating nothing, it's really hard. That's why you got to take steps, because if you do it all at once, then from there's nothing more you can do at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I actually have something to like comment on that. So like my stepdad, he's a little bit overweight. Well, he's overweight, and he was getting on this meal plan, and he was telling me it was something about like 600 calories and then like maybe 900 calories. And I was like, and then I looked at the meal plan and I was like, they're stealing your money and they're giving him like supplements and stuff. Like he's off of it now. But I told him, I was like, that's not healthy. Like a person that's actually like a registered dietitian, legally, they're not allowed to tell you can only eat 900 calories. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like I feel like when people are trying to lose weight or like cut a little bit weight, they just use their first resource and they'll
they get desperate.
Yeah, and you just have to look on your references and stuff, because it's super unhealthy to just be eating 600 calories and your body will get used to it, like you were saying.
What do you think about that, Chris? What do you think about
I mean, I hear all the time, I'm cutting right now, I'm only eating 1,500 calories, 1,200 calories. It's more common than you think, and it's a lot of these people online and social media, whatnot, Herbalife, stuff like that. They tell people, but if you take our vitamins and supplements, you don't need all the calories, or you don't need all that stuff.
It's just crazy to think.
And that's the thing that I was kind of getting back to earlier. Is like I'd rather someone do a 2,000 calorie diet but then add 45 minutes of cardio than do like 1,100 calorie diet and then do no cardio, because a lot of these diets that offer like very low calories don't really even offer exercise protocols. They're just like don't eat, and that's how you lose weight. But like it's an easy sell, because like you said, if you're not eating food, of course you're going to lose weight. And if you're not eating a lot of food, you're not going to hold a lot of water either. So you lose weight and you're losing water, but you're not only losing weight, you're losing a lot of muscle, obviously, because if you don't eat enough protein, you don't eat enough food in general, you're going to lose muscle. So a lot of the times people go on these like crazy 600, 900, whatever, even like you said, 1,500 or 1,200, depending on how your body is, calorie diets. And like they lose weight right away, but they end up just looking they look almost like skinny fat, and that skinny fat is like, and nothing wrong with people that look that way. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but like, it's not, you want to preserve the muscle and lose the fat. You don't want to lose the muscle and keep the fat. It's like the opposite of what you're trying to do.
And also like, if you're not eating enough, like if you only eat 600 calories, it's happened to me before, like, where I'll be like working a lot, or like I'll forget, or I'll wake up late and do not eat breakfast. My body gets really weird. Like I'll get dizzy, lightheaded, and like you have all these weird symptoms, and 100%. It's just not because you're not eating enough or drinking water.
Exactly. And like right now, like I'm fasted right now, not on purpose, on just because I was busy this morning and I usually don't. And like the only thing that kind of gets you through like a fasted state is like taking, like you said, Chris, like taking supplements and whatnot, but like that's not the best, that's not the best case scenario. Like for people that do the 1 meal a day or the intermittent fasting that are drinking an absurd amount of black coffee to blunt their appetite, it's not healthy, because not only are you not feeding yourself, but you're getting yourself addicted to caffeine. So that's like, honestly, that's my take, because a lot of people ask me about intermittent fasting, and I don't think it's the best thing to do. I think it's good if you have like a reasonable window to eat, but a lot of people will get into intermittent fasting and do like a 4-hour eating window where they're only eating 4 hours a day and they have like one meal. And I don't know. What do you think about intermittent fasting, Chris?
You know, funny story. I can actually relate my own kind of misfortune. Well, I'm not going to say misfortune, my own bad decisions, but I used to do intermittent fasting. While I found success in my own physique when I was going to school, I would have like a pot of black coffee a day. Yeah. Like I relied on it. I would not eat until like 4. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like I only did it when I was cutting, but it was insane. Like I would say definitely became a caffeine addict, because the problem was, and now I notice, because I kind of eat like at least by 10 I'm eating, if not 12, right? But I don't think people should really go later than that. I get sleepy when I don't eat enough. Exactly. I literally just like,
it's because your body literally doesn't have any energy to fuel itself. And like people can get into the concepts of like intermittent fasting for energy. A lot of doctors do it. I'm sure you've seen like a Joe Rogan's podcast. He has a bunch of guys, but like those people are like trained and they've done it for a long time, to a point where they're like adapting their body. And typically people that do like keto or do intermittent fasting that are at these high levels have a really strong mindset. But someone who's just getting into it, who's like, let's just say overweight, or let's just say like maybe they're obese or whatever, like, and not to offend anybody, but they typically don't have that strong mindset to do those type of things. So it's even tougher on them, and it's just not a good outcome. But have you done intermittent fasting before, Gabby?
Not really. I mean, a little bit. I would maybe like if I'm going to do cardio in the morning, like if right as soon as I wake up and I'm going to do cardio, like I won't eat until like I'm done. But as long as like, no, like that, I don't know. I get really, if I don't eat enough or like eat at all, like I get dizzy. So like I'd rather not. It's like my personal preference.
100%.
You get dizzy.
Yeah, I get really dizzy. Yeah, so like
I get dizzy as well.
I would have chips on me at all times.
Yeah,
like,
no, I get like dizzy because like I was working a lot this past summer, and I was working to the point where, because I was supervising a snack bar, and we would always be busy. And at one point, I started noticing, I was like, am I eating? Like, it was really bad. And I was just like I started thinking about like my day. Like I'd wake up, I'd go to work, and then I was just like, did I eat today? But like I would drink smoothies, so that kind of kept me going. But like realistically, that's not like healthy at all. Yeah. And I would just get dizzy. One time I almost fell down. Like I almost passed out once, and I was just like, okay, I should probably go back to Florida. Like I can't do this.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't get dizzy when you don't eat? I mean, I had aminos this morning, so like I technically had food in me, but I haven't had any
so
like
I'll
real
tell
food.
a similar story. So I used to be a server, and a lot of the times, especially when the pandemic was like first like kind of soothing out, people started going back to restaurants. I was working full time, and I'd work 10 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours straight, and I just wouldn't, literally, I'd try to go on break. They'd be like, Chris, we need you. Let's go. Now. Let's go. And then from there, maybe see my girlfriend. Hey, babe, what's up? Too busy to eat. Now it's like maybe 1, 2 a.m. and I woke up at maybe 8 or like, let's say 9, and I still haven't fucking eaten. And
really?
Like, really, I just went, like, I would sometimes just go the next day and be like, all right, I'll just pick out tomorrow. And it's very unhealthy, not gonna lie.
Yeah, and you don't perform optimally either. I'm sure when you're not eating at the server, you're probably just like going through the motions, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because the problem is the job's physically taxing too.
Exactly.
So.
That's the thing. And a lot of people like that do intermittent fasting or do like 1 meal a day or do really low calories, like they have a job that they have to attend to too. It's like, and that's the thing, like when you try to balance all this stuff together, especially when cutting weight, like you have to realize you have to also perform well in your like real life responsibilities. Like you can't feel like a zombie all day long just to lose a couple extra pounds a little bit faster. You should try to set out a plan that lets you perform optimally in all areas. Because if you're like going super ham at one area, but then like at work, let's say you're slacking off on your responsibilities, you're not spending time with your family because you're fucking tired all day long, like that's not the most optimal thing. I mean, it's inevitable. Like, I'll ask you real quick as we try to close out the podcast. Like, when you're cutting, you do feel like a little bit less of yourself because you're physically not having the same amount of energy as before.
So if I'm not doing cardio, yes, 100%. The only reason why I say that is because if I do cardio, the cardio then sturges my appetite, then surges me to eat, you know what I mean? Exactly. But I've been where I'm just like weight training and cutting, and like, the energy you have is so much lower, especially on your lifts. You start noticing your strength to sort of decrease with the reps and whatnot, and you're like, man.
You give out. I mean, like, physiologically, you give out because your muscles aren't storing the same amount of glycogen as before, and your energy stores are literally like lower. So, but like, what's something that you do to like cope with like the feeling of feeling hungry or feeling like a little bit more tired?
I mean, if you're saying if they haven't eaten and whatnot,
or just like lower calories. I mean, like, if anyone lowers their calories today by 500, they're gonna feel a little bit more tired than normal.
Well, I would say for sure it's just knowing about it and knowing like, hey, I might be a little bit more tired. Maybe thinking like, all right, I'm gonna have to probably go to bed around like this time. I would say if you're feeling really tired, but you know you're determined to cut, if you're doing a number, let's say you're doing like 2,500 and 2,500 and you're like, man, I'm really, really tired. I mean, if you're not seeing results, you might have to actually bump it up, maybe go into maintenance for a little bit and try again. I think a lot of people, let's say they've been trying to lose weight for a long time. I can't really tell you what their metabolism's doing if they've been trying all these weird voodoo diets and whatnot. Exactly. Like, I think a lot of people just need to go into maintenance, do it for a month, and then see like, hey, wait a minute, start to go back on the cut again.
Exactly.
But you shouldn't feel too tired. I mean, you shouldn't feel like so lethargic on a cut that you can't work.
Exactly.
I would say after work, you definitely feel more tired on the cut though, but you should feel on your shift like, hey, I can perform and do my job.
That's what I was saying. Like, even if you up the cardio a little bit by, let's just say 15 minutes, or even if you do an extra 30 minutes of cardio or whatever it might be, you're giving your body an ability to eat a little bit more so you can fuel yourself a little bit more. You're obviously going to take it off with the cardio, but like, and you mentioned earlier, like fasted cardio. I like fasted cardio too. It's really good. It not only allows me to burn a little bit more fat while I'm doing so, but it allows me to have like, it kind of gets it out of the way. So you do it like right when you wake up, and then you have your breakfast, and then you can go to the gym later and then just work out and go home, rather than a lot of people get lazy because they do an hour and a half of weights and then they're, oh fuck, I gotta do cardio. But if you split it up, it's like a lot easier for people that are first starting. Like, I'm fine with doing it. I'm sure you're fine. But like for beginners or novices, like that 2.5 hours or 2 hours in the gym might be a little bit too much. So like breaking it up is a lot better. But how do you deal with like feeling maybe a little bit less than optimal if you're trying to lose weight?
Well, since I haven't actually gone on a cut yet, like
ever
no, because since I was younger, like it was always hard to gain weight. Like I struggled gaining weight, and then now I've been able to like keep up like with the weight and stuff. But I would say like probably drink more water. I feel like when you're like really tired, you could be dehydrated, and also you have to check on your sleep schedule, because also when you're like losing weight or like starting to work out and stuff, your sleep is like the biggest thing. So I would definitely say like your sleep schedule is the most important.
That is very important
because of recovery.
Exactly. And if you're not sleeping enough, like you said, you're already like feeling a little bit more tired from not eating as much, and then you're not sleeping enough, so you're tired from there. It's a bunch of different things. I would say like you said, Chris, like kind of accept the fact that you're going to be a little bit more tired, but also use tools like, and don't go crazy with it, but like use caffeine, like opposite of what we were saying before, like drink some coffee, or maybe have some amino acids in your workout, or have like a, like a flavored drink or something like that to kind of keep you going, gum and stuff like that. Don't overdo it, but like little things like these can kind of help you get past the different barriers you have to do. And like I was saying, also like make sure you do cardio so you can eat a little bit more, essentially, not like by a lot, but you can add a little bit more calories, and also time your calories well too. Don't like eat one meal a day and then not eat for the rest of the day. Like, I think obviously we've talked about it before, Chris, like just spreading your meals out is just more realistic. It gives you something to look forward to, and anything extreme is never good. So like never do anything that's going to be like crazy extreme. If you hear something like a 600 calorie diet or 900 calorie diet or whatever it might be, and you're like, whoa, like this is kind of too much, it's probably too much, and it's probably not something you should be doing.
And also I think active recovery day is important too. Because like I feel like when you're starting to like go into the gym, you're like, oh, okay, like I'm going to the gym, maybe 3 times a week and you're like, oh, I'm so sore, like I don't know what to do. Like maybe you can go swimming for like an hour, or like not an hour because swimming's really hard, or like maybe 30 minutes, and then you can go for a walk and like go somewhere like maybe around Flagler and you're just looking at stuff. And I think also like active recovery days is really good because like you're working out and you're not really thinking about it. So it's like good.
And you're priming your body to like take in more activity.
Yeah.
And you're not really thinking. Like a lot of people can go and play basketball for an hour or 2 hours.
Yeah.
And like burn probably, I don't know, 500, 600, 700 calories. But then you try to get them on a Stairmaster and they're like, no, that's too hard. But like if you, like you said, if you kind of take your mind out of that, and a lot of people find that in like things like swimming or biking or boxing, like Chris and I do sometimes, or anything that you find active and fun. Even like, for example, like you said, Chris, even the extreme of just walking around your neighborhood. Like if you find some peace in that, you can listen to an audio book, you can walk on a treadmill and do your social media stuff for the day. Like it takes away from the distraction of, or distracts you from being like in a state to where you feel like, oh damn, I have to do this again. You know? But anything else, Chris? Anything else you want to hit on?
I think that's it for me.
Well, I'll close out the podcast. But anyways, Gabby, thank you for coming on for the podcast today. Anything like last minute type of message you have for people, especially women trying to get into like fitness and trying to get into good shape, and like what your piece of advice would be over the past couple of years that you've like of knowledge you've gained?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing would probably be like, don't be scared. Everyone starts somewhere, and don't get discouraged, because I feel like sometimes girls will go into the gym and they see like a girl wearing Gymshark or something and they're like repping like 50 pounds, but like you don't know how long it took her to get there. So definitely just be patient with yourself, and small progress is a lot better than like focusing on your long-term goal.
Exactly. Chris?
And also don't be afraid of switching it up, because you just get bored
exactly
after it gets repetitive.
Chris, any tips for females out there?
So I would say the ladies, I mean, don't be afraid of heavy weight, deadlifts, squats, bench press,
100%. Any tips for dudes out there? For cutting,
I would say, man, like a lot of men just have to deal with their relationship with food and stop being so emotionally attached to the good feeling that this one meal they like gives them. And people really like these fast food chains, like they always know the next new thing at Taco Bell they want to try out or stuff like that. And just have to be not attached to food. It's just fuel.
100%. I think that was a great thing we hit on that before, is like using food as fuel. But for the most part, I would say for everybody, male and female, like we talked about today, like just try to get on some sort of cardio regimen, even if it's like a couple of days a week. Get on a routine of like a sleep schedule, like you were saying, Gabby. Like make sure you're staying energized through sleep. Don't lack on sleep and then lack on food. You're gonna feel like shit. And then overall, like for training, like we talked about different types of things you can do. She does something different, he does something different, I do something different. So it's not necessarily the training that really changes. I mean, it can change, but it's more about how much cardio you're doing, what does your calories look like, and your long-term play, like how long are you playing this out for, and like the different tricks and tips that we included in this podcast, active rest days, supplementation, and just listening to something that makes sense. Like if something seems extreme, it's probably not the right thing to do. But anyways, for Gabby, for Chris, I'm Old School Matt. Thank you guys for watching this podcast. We'll catch you guys soon.